We're gonna get started. Again, if you're able to turn on the camera, it's really wonderful to see your faces, so we're not just talking to blank screens. If not, that's fine. So we'll start by introducing ourselves. My name is Rachel. I am the Assistant Director of Student Engagement at the Harvard Global Health Institute. So essentially what that means is I oversee all student programming, and the biggest piece of that is our summer internship and research program, which is why you're all here. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you about our program and answer any questions that you may have. And I'll pass it over now to my colleague Elise to do introductions for herself.
Thanks, Rachel. Hi, everyone. I'm Elise. I'm a program coordinator at the Harvard Global Health Institute, and I work on our student engagement team with Rachel. I work with her on our internship program. And as we talk a little bit more about it, I work specifically on our Surge summer research program. But I'm here to answer all questions about all things student engagement. So great to meet you all. Back to you, Rachel.
Yeah, so if you don't mind pulling up the PowerPoint, we'll run through some program details. So essentially, we're going to give you an overview of the program. So really, we offer research-based internships and non-research-based internships. We'll talk about a little bit as we go along, but that's kind of the reason you hear we've modified the name to be research and internship program because it really incorporates all types of summer experiences. If you don't mind just skipping to the next slide. Okay. So an overview of who we are. I don't know if people are that familiar with HGHI, the Harvard Global Health Institute, but I think that really the most important thing for you all to know is that we are what's called an interfaculty initiative. Essentially, what that means is our mission is to reach across all different schools at Harvard. I think sometimes people think, oh, global health, that must be, pre-med people or School of Public Health, but really global health is much wider than that. It can incorporate politics, education. There's so many different layers to it. So really our main focus is to bring that interdisciplinary approach to global health. So I think that's important context, just understanding who we are. And the goal really for this internship program is getting students from all different concentrations, getting students with all different academic interests and backgrounds. So we just wanted to give you that framing. Now we'll talk a little bit. I just want to give you a quick overview of our programs, just the things we do, just so you know who we are if you're not familiar, and then we'll dive into specifically the internship and research program. So Elise and I work on the student engagement team, as we said. We also have fellowship opportunities that our colleagues handle. And then we have specific opportunities for faculty, as well as some strategic projects that we kind of do based on the needs, based on what's going on in the world. So that's just a sense of who we are, high level. And then we can talk a little bit specifically in the student engagement world. What we do, biggest thing is experiential learning, which is kind of a fancy way of saying our internship program. It's really the sense that we want to get you outside the classroom and learn by doing and experience global health firsthand. So that's our biggest bucket, I would say, of what we focus on. We also do events and things to bring global health conversations to campus. We have a student advisory committee. They're really helping us steer the vision of global health from the student perspective, and they're very focused on planning events to help push our mission forward and really engage students in this important work. And we also support the global health and health policy concentration. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Elise, and she's going to start with a high level overview of the internship program, and then we'll talk about the application process.
Thanks, Rachel. Okay, so our summer internship program, this is a really big part of our student engagement portfolio. Every summer, we provide these internships that are 10 weeks long, running June through August, and we send students to partner organizations both in Boston and beyond. You'll see here a map that shows all the different areas that we sent students last summer. We have over 25 partner organizations that we work with. I can show some examples of a few in the next couple of slides, but really important things to note. We do fully fund our internship programs. So if you become an intern, we fully fund housing, travel, meals, all of that. So I think that's always something important to note. And really the goal of our internship program is to provide students with meaningful and substantive experiences that further their education and prepare them for careers in global health. Here's a look at this past summer's intern cohort. You'll see we had 53 interns, which is about the number that we have every summer, around 50. We had 39 different partners, and our students went to a total of 20 different countries. So you can see there's a wide representation always involved. And then we also had 27 different concentrations represented, and I think this is an important thing to note that you do not have to be, as Rachel was saying, specifically, pre-med background or global health background. We love to have students from a variety of different studies. I think this past year we had a lot of students who were doing neuroscience, or I think we had some who were doing English or history or philosophy, just a lot of diversity represented. So within our internship program, we have not to be confusing, we have two different arms of the internship program. So the first is our Surge Summer Undergraduate Research in Global Health program. And this is a program specifically in Boston where interns work on research and live in the research village. Students work at a variety of different organizations. Some work with Harvard faculty in their labs. Others work at hospitals or other areas across Harvard. And you get to live in the research village. So you get to be amongst, I think it's the numbers are 300, maybe more students also doing research. And here are some photos from last year. You'll see at the end of every summer, we do a poster session where students come back and present their research that they conducted over the summer. And then the second component of our program are what we call pre-arranged internships. So these are both research and non-research based positions, and they take place domestically in the US as well as internationally. Students work with many different organizations as well, nonprofits, universities, NGOs, all working in global health. And these internships all look really different. Some are field-based, others are office-based. Like I said, some are research, some are policy, some are advocacy. You see quite a wide variety here. And as I said before, it's fully funded, so students receive a stipend that covers all travels, living expenses, local transportation. Here are those past partner examples that I was talking about. So you can see here on the left, we had a couple of labs based with Harvard faculty, some nonprofits that are based in Boston, Pivot, IQIC, Mental Health for All Lab, and then our general internships and research partners for that second part of our program are here. In past summers, we worked with the CDC, Botswana Harvard Health Partnership, Partners in Health, and many more. These are last year's partners, so we change them up from year to year, but you will see a lot of returning partners. And these will be made available December 1st or early December, so you can check out the listings on our website. We always like to show student feedback, and we're really proud to say that our students always have really positive things to say about their summers. You can see here 97% of interns agreed or strongly agreed that the internship enhanced their professional competency. And then 98% said that as a result of their internship, they're more likely to take additional global health courses or declare a concentration in global health. So that's something we always love to see is that through this internship experience, it just expands students' horizons and gets them, to want to engage even more deeply in global health work. So here is our timeline for the internship program. Come December, our application will open, and that is also when our positions will be posted. And then students will have until early February, February 1st, to apply through Carrot. And Rachel will talk a little bit more about this application process in the next couple of slides. And then applicants will be notified if they're a finalist or not in late February, early March. And then in the next month, finalists will have interviews with partner organizations to determine who moves on to become an official intern. And then and students will find that out between March and April. And then between April and May, this is when we are preparing interns to conduct their internships. So we are doing different orientations, a couple of trainings. Students have assignments just to get a sense of the work that they're going to be doing and just to make sure that there is a global health foundational knowledge for all students. And then June through August, that's when the 10-week program begins. So I'll hand it over to Rachel just to talk a little bit more about the application process.
Yeah, thank you. This slide is a little bit repetitive of that timeline, but just some more exact dates. So you'll see starting in December, you can keep an eye on our website and we'll be posting positions kind of on a rolling basis. Essentially, all our partners are working on different timelines, and the goal is to have all of the descriptions for every internship by the time the application opens. But as we get them throughout December, we'll be posting them. Um, on December 19th, it will open via Carrot, and you'll have until February 2nd to apply. So a nice chunk of time there. Um, Keep in mind, I just want to flag, on the timeline we said June to August, the 10-week internship. Typically, the dates run from the very first weekend in June until like the second week in August. That being said, we like everyone to do those dates, but if there are some personal things you need to shift a little bit or the organization needs to shift a little bit, like we're human, we get it. It's really as long as it is a full week, 10-week period. Um, the reason it's kind of twofold. Number one is we feel like that's a really good amount of time to be fully immersed. If it's much less, then you're not getting an immersive experience. And also the fact that we calculate your stipend amount based on where you're going. The university sets a rate and we calculate it for 10 weeks. So it becomes a little bit tougher if you go less than 10 weeks. So just keep that in mind, very beginning of June to mid-August. But if there's a little flexibility if you need. Skip to the next page. So really, Carrot is not my favorite, I'll be honest. It's a little clunky, but that's where we live, as most of the other programs for summer funding. So if you hadn't used it, definitely go play around in it a little bit. But essentially, um, you can apply up to 3 positions. So essentially, we'll post all of our positions and you'll have to apply to specific ones. It could be one, it could be two, but the max is 3. And unfortunately, the way the system works is you have to submit a separate Carrot application for each position. It will lock you out after 3. So if you've already turned in 3 and you try to turn in 4th, it literally won't let you. But it's just important to know that it's not one application where you mark your choices. I wish it could be that. It'd be much easier. But instead, it's 3 separate submissions, one for each opportunity. And what you'll need for that is a personal statement, essentially like a cover letter explaining why you want the position, a resume, your unofficial transcript, and we'll have a handout going out to everyone later about like instructions how to get that, and then a reference form, which you'll download from Carrot. Essentially, it's not necessarily recommendation letters, but it is a list of 2 references and their contact information. So if the host organization wants to speak to someone, these are people that they can reach out to. So it's just important to note that you don't actually need the actual letter, but just some people that have given you the okay to list their contact information as a reference. So new this year, traditionally it was just that was it. But Elise and I really felt like we were missing like the human interaction with you all. And so we've put a interview. It's not very long. It's about 20 minutes, half-hour interview as a strongly encouraged piece of the project of the application. So essentially, we're currently doing interviews. It's open now. You must do it before the application deadline of February 2nd. As I see some names popping up on the screen, I've seen people sign up for interviews, so it seems like the message is out. But definitely, if you haven't signed up for an interview, I recommend going to our website and signing up because I anticipate that there's going to be a huge bump in interview requests right before the deadline, and there's no guarantee we can fit people in. We only have a set amount of slots, so I would say plan ahead and book an interview. It's really a chance for us to have a conversation, learn more about you. Again, it's one thing reading a piece of paper, especially now with AI. It's like anyone can make a good cover letter, but we really want to know who you are and what you're interested in. And it also gives us a great opportunity to answer your questions and talk more about your interests a little bit more specifically. We'll go to the next slide. So just a window into kind of how this happens, like the selection process. It is a very competitive program. I will be very transparent. We get many wonderful applications every year. What happens first is your application is read by a committee at HGHI. So it doesn't sit with one person. It doesn't sit with just me and Elise. It's a collaborative committee of people who read all the applications. And they're really looking to select a short list of candidates, usually around five. Sometimes we can go up to 10 for some of the more popular positions. But essentially, they're looking at all these things below your personal statement, resume, transcript, and if you've done an interview, we take notes on your interview. So, looking at all the pieces of that puzzle to assess if you're a good fit for what our partner wants, because our partner will give us specific, you know, requests of like the types of skills they want in a student. Um, so we as a selection committee are looking at that, and then we will pass the list of finalists over to the organization. And the organization then decides how they want to proceed. So some organizations, let's say they have five finalists, they interview every single finalist and then they make a decision. Other organizations say, I'm just going to go with my top choice and interview them. If that doesn't work, I'll go to the next one. So just because you are a finalist doesn't necessarily mean that you will get an interview with the organization because that's totally up to them. They handle that process and then they come back to us and they say who they want and we are in charge of extending the offers. Important thing to note, I know sometimes it's like very natural to want to connect with the organization to speak to them more specifically about what they want. Unfortunately, we can't have that just because, like I said, hundreds of people are applying. So if we had that direct contact to the organizations, it would be pretty overwhelming for them. So that's why you have to wait until you're a finalist and called for an interview to be able to speak to the organization. So we'll keep going. So Elise touched on this a little bit, and I don't want to read you the whole slide, but I'll give you an overview. Essentially, this is something I started here a little over a year ago. I came from running similar programs at MIT, and one thing I found in my work is that, internships are really great, but without context, they can only go so far. You're gonna get really amazing professional skills, but your experience is only going to be enhanced when you have some learning that goes along with that. So what we've done, we've established pre-departure training, so 4 or 5 workshops that are required in person before you go. Those are exploring kind of basic concepts in global health, cross-cultural communication skills, so things that are going to help you be a responsible intern and go into communities and go into organizations in a respectful, meaningful way. And you'll also have some preparatory assignments. If you're traveling, you'll be looking a little bit deeper into the country you're going to. We really feel like this is like essential because I don't feel right sending students to a place where they're not fully understanding the culture and the nuances and living in that place. So I think that's very important. And then if you're not traveling internationally, you will focus a little bit more. You'll do a bit of research on the topic that you'll be working with over the summer. So this is all really to set you up to kind of just dive deeper into your internship. You'll also be required to write some internship goals that we'll share with your supervisor. During the summer, there's some very short, like discussion board assignments. In an ideal world, we would love to have like some sort of Zoom training, but we have students all over the world in different time zones, so it's just impossible. So we still try to create kind of that community of sharing and learning together online. And then when you are done, you have like a short reflection paper to kind of put together what you learned. So that's kind of the arc of the educational program that goes along with the internship. And again, this is not to create more work. And I don't want you to have the impression that it's tons and tons of stuff. There certainly are things to do, but we also realize, you are full-time students. We don't want to bog you down too much, but it is stuff that is intended to only deepen your experience. Okay, we'll do the next. Oh, that's my last slide. Okay. So now we will turn it over to you all to ask some questions. We can take the slide off so we can see each other's faces, but this is your chance. If anything wasn't clear or if there's anything we haven't covered, please feel free. You can just unmute yourself and jump in and ask some questions. There's got to be one question. No one? Were we that thorough? Oh, okay. Great question here in the chat. Will the interview be online? So the interview with us, yes. So that is right now it's on Google Hangouts, Meet. I don't know what it's called, but it's not my favorite. I'm more of a Zoom person, but the way our booking system works is it integrates directly with Google Meet. Um, so yeah, it's a half hour appointment slot. So you can book that online and then you'll be sent a Google email, a Google Meet address. Some people are having issues with getting the confirmation email. So if you do sign up for the interview and you don't get a confirmation email, please reach out to us and we'll be sure that you get that. We're also starting now, a number of people on our team do interviews. So we're having everyone forward you the invitation as well to make sure you get that. But yes, that's my long-winded answer to say it is online.
I'll add something also. Rachel previously talked about our student advisory committee, a group of 15 students who are connected with us and put on really great programming throughout the year. And November 15th, they will be hosting an in-person workshop related to the internship program. They have all the details and they're kind of working out what they're going to be presenting during that time, but it's meant to be a resource for students to learn more. There'll be students, past interns there to talk about their experience, and also to give tips on, the application process. So if you're interested, especially in talking to more students, mark your calendars Saturday, November 15th from 2 to 3 p.m. in the Science Center, and we'll have more details on our website in the coming days.
Awesome. Great. I just saw a question in the chat here about the limit of applications you can submit. So that three is just for HGHI programs. So you could apply to three HGHI opportunities and then as many as you want throughout the rest of the college. We don't really care. Um, but it's important to note too, like we do have the surge program, like Elise talked about. And then we have like the general internships and research internships. Those are all included in our three. So it's not like you can apply to three surge and three non-surge across all of our HGHI programs. It's just three. The one thing I realized I actually haven't talked about is I just want to make everyone aware. So we typically up until this year have had what we call independent funding. So that essentially what that has looked like is students who get a global health related internship or research opportunity on their own can apply to us to fund them, to basically give them a stipend. Unfortunately, this year, due to budget restraint constraints, I think there's no secret there's a lot going on in the world of global health and Harvard and the intersection of it all. So we're trying to be a little creative with budget. So unfortunately, this year, we won't be offering independent funding. I just want to flag that for you all in case you were planning on that from last past years. I just want to say that it's not happening this year, unfortunately. So the only opportunities now are the ones with our partnerships. So definitely, we encourage you to learn more. Schedule that interview if you haven't already. I think it books out like a month in advance. So you might look at it, it might be pretty booked out, but just keep checking. If you really are running into a roadblock, feel free to email us and we can see if we can open up new spots, but definitely do that sooner rather than later. Um, and if you have any questions or anything that we didn't cover, or you're just wondering, at a later date, you can reach out to us at our student engagement email address, or at least in my personal email addresses as well is fine. We're on the website and we're pretty easy to find. But we're definitely here to be a partner with you through this journey. So we don't want you to ever be wondering things about feeling lost with the application or anything like that. Our job is really, to help you through this whole process. And we're really looking forward to getting to know you all through your interviews and applications. And again, any questions, just let us know.